Hey guys, welcome back to episode 29 of the Road to 120 Slayer series. This episode is the double XP weekend special, and we have a lot of tasks that I did complete throughout double XP. I managed to complete 16 more Slayer tasks, all on double XP, so you can imagine we got some really good Slayer gains in this episode. We also made a ton of money, so let's just jump right into the video. I really hope you guys do enjoy, and if you do enjoy the Slayer series, I will also link the full playlist to the other 28 episodes in the description, so if you guys are interested, definitely check that out. But anyway, I really hope you enjoy. So moving on to our first Slayer task, we ended up getting 217 corrupted creatures, always a pretty good task. You get some really good Slayer XP, especially on double XP. It's just insane, the Slayer XP that you get on all of these tasks. Also, keys to the crossing, they are going for a lot, so you usually do make quite a bit of money from these pretty quick tasks as well. Now looking at the loot from this task, as you can see, we didn't get any keys to the crossing, but 1.6 mil. We also got 283,000 Slayer XP. Super good. The task took about 20 to 25 minutes to complete. Now moving on to our next Slayer task, we ended up getting a 39 Acheron Mammoths task. This one I didn't really like as much. I actually ended up dying once during this kill. Didn't have my Ring of Death on me, so that was a pretty expensive death cost. But anyway, we got the task over with. The thing with the mammoths, they do give a lot of XP. So I only have 39 per task, and it usually takes about half an hour, maybe 20 minutes to complete the task. But you get a ton of XP, about 4k usually, so it's about 8k per kill on double XP weekend. Now looking at the loot, we only made 1.6 mil, and we also did die, so that lost 800k. But we did get 328,000 Slayer XP, so that is really good for one Slayer task. So another really good task to do on double XP weekend. Our next task, we end up getting an Elves task. This is also another really great task to obtain. Bring the Spring Cleaner, it makes it really AFK, so I did that. You also get a ton of just alchables and coin drops. And it's a pretty AFK task and some good XP. So looking at the loot, it took about 20 minutes to complete the task, and we made about 2 mil. The XP pretty decent as well, about 190k Slayer XP, so another pretty chill task that we did manage to complete pretty quickly. Now moving on to our next task, we end up getting 89 Dinosaurs. So usually in previous episodes, I would have went to brutish dinosaurs and killed them, but I have found a new method that I like a lot more, which is killing the venomous dinosaurs. As you can see, I was using the Oldak coil, however, I do believe that the cannon is a lot better because it has more range, so it will bring the venomous dinosaurs into you and actually be able to hit them from further range, which is really important. Alternatively, you could just use the Oldak coil and use an aggression potion or something like that. But I really do find that the cannon worked a lot better, so I will be doing that in future episodes. But also, as you can see, this task is really good and really AFK. Usually those brutish dinosaurs tasks would take me about an hour to complete, but these are taking 15 to 20 minutes, and the Slayer XP is pretty solid. The GP per hour really isn't too great, but that's fine. If you get a unique, it's definitely a lot higher. So as you can see, we made about 1.9 mil from this task, so not too bad. And then also 237,000 Slayer XP. Now, it took about 20-25 minutes to complete. If you do factor in the cost for all the cannonballs, though, it is quite costly to buy those. It's about 600k probably per task, so it does really cut into the profit by quite a bit. Now, jumping into our next task, we end up getting Abyssal Demons. Honestly, I don't really enjoy this task too much, but I do it because it is a pretty quick and easy task. So if you guys haven't checked out my Abyssal Demon Guide, you can check that out. It is really helpful. I show you guys how to kill Abyssal Demons with melee as well as magic. As you can see in this clip, I went with melee, and I'm also using the Attuned Ectoplasmator with the Demon Horn Necklace, so I basically have unlimited prayer. It makes this task really AFK and very fast to complete. So looking at the loot, we made about 866k, so really not much there, but again, it took about 10 minutes to complete. And then we also got 130,000 Slayer XP, so not too bad for a really quick task like this. Next, we ended up getting a Vileplume task. This is another task that I really enjoy getting, probably because I've been so lucky with getting the Blast of Fusion boots drop. I've actually had 2 of them, about 2,000 kills, so that is pretty lucky, definitely way ahead of the drop rate. But we are going to be going to the Luminous Snagglers just because they give such good drops. The XP is pretty good, however, it would probably be a bit better at Liverworts, but the drops for Luminous Snagglers, they're just super great. So we are going to be going here, and let's see what we can get. So as you can see, we made about 3.7 mil, which is pretty good for one of these tasks. It took about 40 minutes to complete, so a bit longer than the other tasks that we have done. And then we also got 215,000 Slayer XP, not too bad there either. But overall, this task is just really great for the GP. Now moving on to our next task, another dinosaur task. So we are going to be doing the same thing as before, going back to the venomous dinosaurs. We're just going to skip to the loot for this time. So we made about 1.6 mil and also got 210,000 Slayer XP. So again, another pretty good task. It took about 25-30 minutes to complete. I did use the old ACK coil again, and that definitely is a lot worse than the cannon, so definitely need to switch that out for the next time I go. Now moving on to our next task, I decided to go with the demons over Crystal Shapeshifters. It was a pretty tough decision, but I wanted to do a bit of bossing, so we headed to Krill and just did a bit of that. Usually you get about 100,000 Slayer XP per task, and on double XP, of course, it would be doubled to 200k, so it isn't too bad, and it's kind of AFK and fun. You get to see if you get some uniques from Krill, so that is the good thing about it. And so we actually did get sort of lucky. We ended up getting a drop, so we got one of the wards, which is pretty good. It's about 800k, not the best unique that you could get, but it is something. So that is basically the only unique we got in this trip, but we did make some pretty good money, especially off the wine drops, which is a pretty frequent drop. So as you can see, we made about 2.6 mil. So this is really good for just a few krill kills, and we only one unique. We also got 200,000 Slayer XP, and it only took about half an hour to complete this task. So it really was a pretty good task, and it was a lot of fun. It was nice to mix up a bit of bossing and instead of always doing the Slayer creatures. So next we end up getting Crystal Shapeshifters. This is another one of my favorites. It's actually on my preferred list. I do have Crystal Shapeshifters in my player-owned Slayer dungeon, which makes it so much easier to kill them. If you are planning on doing Crystal Shapeshifters, you definitely do want them in your Slayer dungeon. It is so much easier because you can AFK them. Crystal Shapeshifters are really good XP, but they also do drop some pretty decent drops. They're targeting crystals that they drop every time. They drop 1 to 3 of them, and they're worth about 3k each. So that is just a nice, always consistent amount of money that you are obtaining. But overall, this task, it is pretty good. You do have to pay a bit of attention just to make sure you don't get killed because they can hit really hard. But as I said, the XP and GP is really great. So looking at the loot from this task, we made about 2.1 mil in the common drops. We also got 350 of the targeting crystals. Now, as I said, they're worth about 3k each when you do exchange them. So we made a little bit over 3 mil from this task, which is pretty great. Also 363,000 Slayer XP. That's pretty good for a Slayer task, and it only took about half an hour to complete this one. So as you can see, it is one of the better Slayer tasks that we have completed so far. Now moving on to our next one, we end up getting another corrupted creature task. Of course, we're going to the corrupted workers like usual. I actually found a new spot to stand this time, so I'm standing in a different location than usual. I find it is a bit better, but we're just doing the same thing as always. Aggression potion along with my scythe, and then just make sure you have protect from melee on. And so the loot from this task, we did get pretty lucky. We ended up getting 4 keys to the crossing, which is worth 2.1 mil just from that. So that is really great. Then from the treasure chest, another 1.3 mil, so over 3 mil from this task, which is awesome. Also 214,000 Slayer XP, and it took about 20 minutes to complete this one. So another really great task completed. And so we ended up getting back-to-back corrupted creature tasks. As you can see, we're just under 43 hours left of double XP time. So we do have tons of time left. I never use all of the time, so there really isn't any worry there. But this task, it was pretty chill. So we went back to corrupted workers again. We weren't as lucky as before with the keys to the crossing. We ended up only obtaining 1 key to the crossing for this task, so that's 500k right there. But the chest was a bit better, 2.1 mil, so not too bad. And then we also got 286,000 Slayer XP, which is pretty good as well. Now we're going to be moving on to our next task. We end up getting another demon task, and I went back to Krill just because it was a lot of fun, and I'm really into bossing right now, so it is nice to mix it up when you can. Alternatively, you could go to Ripper Demons with this demon task. That is another really good option, but I didn't have the binding contracts made, so I just decided to go to Krill instead. Now, surprisingly enough, we did get really lucky on this task. No uniques, but we did make a lot of money. As you can see, about 2.1 mil. So basically the same as the last time, except we didn't get unique. We just got some pretty good commons. We also got 220,000 Slayer XP. So overall, another pretty good task completed. Now, moving on to our next one, we ended up getting another dinosaur task. So again, we're going to be going back to the venomous dinosaurs and completing this task pretty quickly. We're doing the exact same method as before, but as you can see, I did swap out the Oldak coil with the cannon, and it definitely did work a lot better. It was able to hit the venomous dinosaurs from longer range, which will allow them to bring them into you closer, and it'll just make the task a little bit more AFK for you. Now, as you can see with the loot, we didn't really get too lucky, only 1.6 mil made. And also 202,000 Slayer XP. We haven't really been getting very lucky with dinosaurs. I'm hoping to get a blowpipe piece eventually, because I do have a lot of dinosaur kills and haven't obtained any of those. So hopefully we do get one of those eventually, because those unique drops would definitely boost the GP per hour. But anyway, moving on to our next task, we end up getting a Soul Devourer task. This is the first one of the episode. And as you can see, just jumping right in, we actually hit 112 attacks, so that is a pretty nice milestone. As you can see, we did go to the solo axe just because they're really simple and nice and quick to kill. We also got pretty lucky. As you can see, 3 keys through the crossing already in the task, and we do have about 30 to 40 kills left. So looking at the total loot, we did get pretty lucky. As I said, we got 3 keys to the crossing, so about 1.6 mil there. And then as for the treasure chest, we got about 1.8 mil, so we made some pretty good money, about 3.4 mil from this task. And as for the Slayer XP, it's pretty good as well, about 216,000 Slayer XP. The task took about 15 to 20 minutes to complete. And so we finally ended up getting a Dragon Slayer task. I actually skipped a lot of tasks in hope of getting this Dragon task. I really wanted it all double XP weekend because you make so much money as well as so much Slayer XP from this task. So looking at our Slayer chest, starting off, we have about 36 mil in it. So just to keep track of how much I did make from this task. Now, I did go a lot of trips of Elite Dungeons. I believe I did 5 or 6 of them. Now, the first few trips, it was with David Wang and Mark Vang. They were pretty successful trips. We got some really nice kill times, and we didn't really get any unique drops, but of course, the uniques are always decent, and the Slayer XP is insane, especially with the Onyx and Hydrix dragons, all the gemstone dragons at the final part before you get to the final boss. It is insane XP if you do kill those. If you are on task and you do kill a Hydrix dragon, the XP drop is something like 70k, which is just insane. So really, I just love doing Elite Dungeons on double XP weekend. You not only get the Slayer XP if you're on task, you get Dungeoneering XP and all the combat XP. It's just a ton of XP in general, which is just amazing. And so we ended up fighting the Blackstone Dragon. Unfortunately, I really screwed up and just walked right into the blue flame there and instantly died. So we did end up having a death, but that was fine. It was on stream too, so that was a bit funny, but pretty dumb death. Shouldn't have died. We ended up getting the loot from the kill anyway because we just hopped back in, and we got pretty lucky with the drop actually. 8 Draconic Energy from this kill, so that was really nice. But for the last run, I ended up going trio with both KJ and Mr. Cape. So that was a ton of fun. We actually got really lucky. Mr. Cape got a Greater Barge Codex, so we got a pretty good split from that. Pretty lucky that we did get it on trio as well, so that was really crazy odds. But as you can see, just from the treasure chest, we made about 17 mil just off of the common drops and whatnot. And the Slayer XP always is insane. 1.8 mil just from one Slayer task. So really, you just always want to get these Dragon Slayer tasks while on double XP. As you can see, the split from the Greater Barge Codex, 67 mil split. Really great there. Nice to add to the Slayer loot tab. Now, I decided to go ahead and do one last Slayer task before we ended today's video. So we got 215 corrupted creatures. We're just going to do the same thing as usual, add to the corrupted workers and see what we can get, just top off the Slayer XP gain for the episode. And so we ended up completing the task pretty quickly. As you can see, we ended up getting 1 key to the crossing. as well as 1 corrupted gem, which is a pretty rare drop from corrupted creatures. So that was pretty nice that we got one of those, added it to the collection log. As for the treasure chest, about 1.6 mil there. The Slayer XP, of course, is always really great at 280,000 Slayer XP. So it was a pretty nice task to top off today's episode. And so moving on to the loot breakdown, as you can see, today's episode was insane for both the GP and the Slayer XP. So in today's episode, we made 117.8 million, most of that coming off of the Dragon Slayer task where we did some elite dungeons too. Really, elite dungeons, they're just always super profitable. And as you can see, that puts the total Slayer loot tab at an estimated 1.12 billion. So I really can't wait to sell this loot tab and see what the actual price of these items are. It's going to be really interesting to see. As you can see, the Slayer XP for today's episode is really great as well. We made 5.4 million Slayer XP just in one episode, which is really great. It puts the total Slayer XP up to about 44.6 million. So we are doing pretty well. We do need about 16 million Slayer XP left to get to 120, and unfortunately I wasn't able to do much more for double XP. I did do a bunch of overloads and elder overloads and stuff like that, but I wasn't able to do very much more Slayer. I really did just have a lot going on in my personal life, and I kind of still do, so I do just want to mention this to you guys because I probably will be taking a little bit of a break from this series. Probably just a few weeks. I'll pick it back up after then, and hopefully we can finish off the 120 Slayer grind. I really did want to complete it on double XP, but as I said, just a lot of stuff came up and I just wasn't able to do that. But I really hope we are able to do that soon. But anyway, guys, I really hope you did enjoy this video. There was a lot going on. We completed many more tasks than usual in one episode. 16 is a new all-time high for one episode, and we also got some really good Slayer XP, as well as some good money. So it was a really good episode overall. And if you guys did enjoy the video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more. And also leave a comment. Let me know what you guys are thinking of this series and all that. I really do love them, and it really does just make my day a lot better. So I really do look forward to reading all of those and hearing all the comments and positive feedback that you guys have for me. But anyway, guys, I really hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.